Hello. So, slight change of scenery today, but still me on my mat, sharing, as always, everything I love about yoga with you. Focusing today on core, one of my favourite places to build strength and stamina, upper body strength and back strength. So I don't think we're actually standing up at all during our practice, so there'll be lots of weight bearing through the wrists, so anytime you need to back away and just give yourself perhaps a little bit of a moment, just releasing those wrist joints, go for it, and then just join back in when you're ready. But we will be supporting our practice with our breath today. Again, something I'm quite passionate about. I try not to drone on about it too much. Yes, the breath, our friend, always with us. So the breath can be many things. It can be soft, it can be strong, powerful, but it's always with us. It's a constant thing for us. It's constantly there, so we can rely on it. We can trust it to be there for us. And it's like, I sometimes describe it as your very best friend. Always there for you whenever you need it, to support you, so to carry you through those rough times that we all have in our lives, and to also be there and quite buoyant and jolly for you when you're having a really good moment. So focusing on the breath today, just with awareness of it, and perhaps just using different little how we breathe, the length of our breath, and then just hopefully you'll enjoy your time with me. There's been lots of and thens in this little few moments, I know, so apologies for that. So let's start straight away by coming down onto the floor. So lying on your back, legs bent, feet flat on your mat. And let's just bring the hands to the tummy. Maybe the knees are going to come together. You'll walk your feet a little bit wider. And using your mind as a kind of way to detach from everything else that may be going on in your day, that you think you have to do, your lists, all those other things that we fill our minds with. Bring it onto this one thing, the constant thing, the breath. And if you have a very busy life and your head will be full of stuff, busy stuff, then it may be a bit reactive to just doing one thing, so it may constantly try and draw you back to all the other things. Then you, because you're in control, remember, you bring your mind back onto your breath. You may have to repeat that quite a lot of times, either today, or if you take this little practice away with you every time you come to your mat. But eventually, a bit like I sometimes refer to the mind as a puppy, as training a puppy, your mind will come to your breath and sit and just be there as the body sort of expands and softly contracts with the inhalation, exhalation. And as you kind of stay focused and aware of the breath, I'd like you to breathe in and just slowly count how long it takes you to breathe in. Try and find an even number if you can. And then breathe out to that same number. So you're matching your out breath to the length of your in breath. So just reminding you that you're breathing in and you're counting how long it takes you to breathe in, rather than just saying you're going to breathe into 4 and breathe into that number. So breathing in, slow count to however long it takes you to breathe in, but a nice even number, and then breathing out to that same number. So maybe you're breathing into 4, maybe you're breathing into 6, but probably the number wouldn't be too much higher than 6. If it is, you're probably counting a little bit too quickly, or you've got really massive lungs and it's taken you a really long time to fill them up. Well done. Now you can let your counted breath fade, but remember what number you were breathing in and out to. We'll come back to that later on in our practice. So heel toe your feet and knees together if they're not there already. Pop your knees on your chest and hands on the shins and just roll across the width of your back. So side to side, and just notice the back kind of being a little massage into the floor. And then we'll start to bring a little bit more awareness to the abdominal area by really firing those muscles up. So coming back to the center of your mat, we're going to do that nice little tabletop thing. Some of you may have done that with me before. So you bring your legs to a tabletop position and we'll flex the feet. So your ankles are in line with your knees are more or less over your hips. The knees can be a bit closer to you if the usual little kind of clue, if legs here is too much, is your back will start to curl away from the mat. So your pelvis is tipping forwards with the weight of your legs. So to help that be less sort of impacted, you'll bring your knees a tiny bit closer to you so you can round and flatten down through the lower back. Okay. So let's inhale, hands on the thighs, and exhale. At the bottom of the exhalation, let your navel drop down to your spine and then grab it and hold it there. Start to push your hands really quite actively against your legs and your legs back against your hands. Remember to continue to breathe in and out. So breathing into the rib cage. 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Pop your feet down. Let your belly release. Your back will gently release from the mat as you relax that abdominal squeeze, which is all good. That's what we're looking for. So we're doing the opposite each time. So we're contracting and squeezing, then releasing and relaxing. So muscles tight, muscles less tight. Good. Same thing again. Hands on the thighs, breathing in. Exhale, navel drops to spine. Grab it and start to press and push for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Pop your feet down. Just let everything relax. Maybe you're breathing even through your mouth. It's fine. Sometimes sighing the breath out is a nice way to help everything kind of let go of holding. Okay, one more of those. Here we go. Tabletop position, flexing the feet, heels in line with the knees over the hips or a tiny bit closer to the body, hands on the thighs. We're going to do this for 10, my count of 10. Please remember to breathe out. It's so easy to hold your breath here. So take your breath in, let your navel sink to your spine, grab it and hold it there, and breathing a little higher up for 10 as you press quite firmly, legs and hands. Good. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, well done, almost there. 3, 2, 1, and this time pop your feet down, stretch your legs out, take your arms up, inhale, exhale through the mouth, arms down by your side, rebend the legs, feet flat on the floor. Good. So we're going to go into a little bit of a rolling movement now. So bringing the knees onto the chest. So revolved abdominal pose. We'll take the arms out in line with the shoulders and we're going to actively press the hands and the arms down into the floor to make sure that the abdominal muscles are really switched on. So if you find that pressing through the hands and the arms, make sure you keep that as a constant, like your breath. If you find the knees on the chest too much, just tap your big toes down and take your knees side to side with the same awareness of pressing through the arms. Otherwise, knees high on the chest, and you're using that abdominal squeeze to bring the knees in and keep them there. Good. So you'll breathe in here, and as you exhale, you'll take your knees over to the right, aiming them towards the right elbow. Breathe into the center, exhale, knees to the left, aiming them towards the left knee. So you'll do that side to side, making sure that you remember to keep pressing. Now, as you lift up from the left, press a little bit extra of a press in the left arm and hand. That'll help you come back to the center. And the same from the right, pressing as you lift up. Press. 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 One more. Good. And come back to the center. Have a little squeeze of the knees on the chest, curling up this time maybe. And then laying yourself back down. Have a little breather. When we relax, we give our body permission to let go of holding. So that tight, supportive contraction through the belly and the back, we're allowing those muscles to just relax and have a little break from doing that holding and the supporting. So we are going to repeat that movement in a moment, or we can make it a little bit stronger. But first of all, we'll come back to, again, just working the abdominal muscles. So we're going to bring the knees onto the chest, arms down by your side to begin with. And then we're going to allow the legs to start to straighten up towards the ceiling. Now, for you, your legs might be quite bent. This is absolutely fine. You'll still be working your tummy as you lower and lift the leg. Or legs can be as straight as you can make them. Okay. Pressing through the heels regardless of your leg shape. A little bit more of a challenge is to take the arms up alongside the ears, navel to spine. So as you breathe in, you'll lower the right leg to a hover. And as you breathe out, you'll bring it back up. And switching sides, breathe in, left leg down, and breathe out, lift it up. So just switching from side to side, a nice, slow, controlled movement. So we're avoiding the temptation to use momentum to swing that leg up. So navel to spine, strong exhalation as you draw the leg back up. So 4 more. So 1 more, 2 more on the right, 2 more on the left, alternating. So 4 movements in total. Last one. Good. From here, keeping your legs up, just kind of let them melt in the air. And then slide your arms out in line with your shoulders, or bring them up to that position if they are by your sides. And here's a really nice place for your lower back. So your lower back finds it quite easy to kind of relax and spread with the legs floating in the air. So it may feel like they're swaying a little bit, but have the idea of maybe the air is like cotton wool around your legs, and it's just holding your legs without too much effort from you at all. Good, so we're going to come back to that same movement before we go to our side-to-side repetition. So we're going to bring the legs together to that straight position. Good. Now the option you have this time is arms by your side or arms by your ears, repeating single leg up and down, or both legs down as you breathe in, both legs back up as you breathe out. So this, as you can imagine, is really strong. So your thigh bones are probably, they're the really big bones, so they're very heavy. So as you drop them down, you need a lot of support here to stop your pelvis following and your back curling. Now, if your back comes to this position, that's not going to be good at all, because it means your tummy isn't able to support it. So if that's you and you've gone for double legs, be really honest with yourself and go back to the single leg movement. So you'll be challenging yourself but still gaining strength with support. So start position is the same, both legs up, arms where you would like to work with them. Inhale, one leg down or both. Strong exhalation, both legs up or that same leg back up. So remember to switch sides. If you're working, still single legs. Good. So 4 more. Good. 4. 3. 2. 1. Fold your knees onto your chest this time. Hands over the shins. And again, we'll curl up. Maybe a little rock from side to side. And we'll lay ourselves back down. Once you're down, notice how heavy your head is. I always like to remind everyone that shares their time with me how heavy the head is, because if you can notice the weight of your head, it probably means you've let go of holding it up with your neck. So notice how heavy your head is. Good. And pop your feet down one at a time. So I'm going to turn to face you this time so we can all do the same thing. What we'll be doing is either repeating the knees side to side, or I'll lift my head up so you can see me. A little stronger, quite a bit stronger, is legs straight. So you'll kind of zip your legs together. You take a breath in, and as you breathe out, you'll take your legs over to the right. Rather than aiming knees to elbow, you'll aim your toes towards your hand or beyond. Breathe in up. Exhale over to the left. Breathe in, lift, and exhale over to the right. So you can join in when you're ready, pressing firmly into the hand you're lifting up and away from, pressing firmly into the arm you're lifting up and away from. So aiming to do about 8 in total. So I'm on my last one. When you finish, gently squeeze your knees onto your chest. You can spin back around on your mat if you've changed your position. We'll go back to the breath. Knees tenting, feet a little wider, hands on the belly. I'd like you to re-find your counted breath. So without any kind of too much thinking about it, remember the number you're counting your breath to, and see if you can find that same length to your breath. So this time it may be your breath trying to stay with your number, because your breath might have shifted, or it may still be nice and easy. You may find your breath is longer than your original counted number. But if you can, breathing in and out to the same number. Well done. So after your next exhalation, gently roll to one side. And we're going to come up onto all fours. So what we're going to work with is a sequence of postures. Downward dog, quick demo, plank pose, and then an upward dog but with the toes tucked under. Then we'll move back to plank, and then back to downward dog, and then we'll tap the knees down and have a little breather, maybe release the wrists, and we'll do that twice more. But the challenge is to hold each posture for 4 breaths, and you're going to use your counted breath. So you're going to give it a go. If 4 is too much, whatever called a breath, however many breaths you take in your first posture, downward dog, try and use that same count for the rest of your little sequence, the little flowing vinyasa we're going to do. All right, good. So hands and knees, tuck the toes. So we'll just lift the tailbone slightly as we sit almost back onto the heels. We're going to come up into downward dog with the legs really bent. So press into your hands, push them forwards without them moving, so the hips start to lift up and back. And then when your hips are back and up as much as you think they can be, reach towards the floor with your heels. Once you're in downward dog, begin your counted breath. And you do 4 counted breaths. So I've got 1 more breath in downward dog. If you've already taken your breaths, you will move to plank. Then now moving to plank Vashisthasana. Remember, you can support the posture with the knees lightly tapped down. Just need to come off my mat, so come a bit further forward. The neck is in line with the rest of the spine in plank. It's very much a tendency sometimes to hang down, and try not to think of too much of a straight line diagonal. Have the back kind of flat. Good. Good. And from here, you'll then bring the hips forwards and through, but lifting through the navel. So upward dog can be supported with the knees down also, so you can transition from knee plank to knee upward dog, pressing back through the heels. Then you'll return to plank pose for 4 breaths. Just double check that as you hold plank, your hands started to collapse down into the shoulders. Then we'll return to downward dog. Ujjayi breath, if you're familiar with it, is a good breath to use here. Now this is my 4th breath, so after I've let the breath go, I'll softly bring my knees equally, touching down at the same time, untuck the toes, and I'm going to just sit back on the heels, give my wrists a little bit of a squeeze, and then a rotation, and I'm going to continue to take 3 more breaths, resting in child's pose. So Balasana, full posture, arms draped alongside the legs. You can always remain on your forearms, or maybe rest your head on your forearms or hands or fists. Allowing the breath to fill the back body. So you may still have your counted breath with you, that's absolutely fine. If not, just be aware of your breath coming and going. So we're going to do that again, so come up to hands and knees. Good. Tuck the toes, transition to downward dog, straightening the legs at the last minute, beginning your counted breath. So maybe you're just breathing in and out now. Perhaps the counted breath is something you'd rather not work with at the moment. That's okay. It's okay to decide that. Or you may like it. It may help you smooth your breath out and stay with it. It may help you stay with your breath. And the next posture is plank, knees up or down. So do be careful that once you come to plank, your head isn't just hanging down. So back of the neck is nice and long, but in line with the rest of the spine. So perhaps just draw the chin in towards you, towards the throat a little bit. Then we have upward dog with the toes tucked. There's a little bit of buoyancy in the elbows, so making sure we haven't just locked the arms at the elbow joints. Navel is still lifting here. Remember, the knees can be down. After your 4 breaths, you'll make your way to plank. It's quite hard to stop between upward dog and downward dog in plank. You just kind of intuitively want to move between up and down dog. And then you will come to downward dog for your 4 breaths. Final one for me. And then I'm going to tap both knees down at the same time. And once again, untuck the toes, sit back on the heels. Give your wrists a bit of a squeeze. Rotate the wrists when you've done that. You do that little pull, which we've done before. We aim to feel like you're gently trying to take your hand off the end of your arm, and you've got that lovely space in your wrist joint. Well done. So we're going to do that one more time. So just to remind you, it's your practice. So if you'd like to rest and not repeat, then you can do that. And then join in when you're ready. Sorry, the little bit of hair on my lip. Good. Here we go. All 4s. Now, just add add a little bit more awareness to the hands here by gently sort of clawing the mat with the fleshy pads of your fingers and your thumbs, but without your hand cupping away from the floor. So keep the palm pressing as much as you can, like a suction cup, and then add that little clawing action. And then return to downward dog. 4 breaths in downward dog. Counting your breath if you choose to do so, or just observing the breath moving in and out of the body. Then 4 breaths in plank pose. So to keep the legs active, really press the heels back behind you. So you'll feel your thighs, the muscles on the thighs kind of squeezing in against the thigh bones, supporting the weight of those bones that I mentioned earlier. And then you've got 4 breaths in upward dog. So similarly, when I'm on my mat, whether I'm in a class with real life class or visual or virtually here, I tend to move onto the next posture so that if you're working with your own breath, it just reminds you, so you don't have to be in sync with me. Good. And then plank pose, 4 breaths in plank. And then when you take in your 4 breaths, you've got 4 more breaths in downward dog. Then after your 4th breath, softly tap the knees down. Good. And this time, if you just sit up on your heels for a moment, interlink your hands behind you, so you've got an open palm, but your palms are facing you, backs of the hands away. Bow down over your thighs, lifting the arms up, deliberately bending the elbows out to the side. And from there, see if you can get your arms a bit higher, and then press the backs of the hands away. Good. And slowly, just turn my little cue sheet over. Just then slowly return to your upright position. And what we'll do is we'll come forwards and we'll just lean. So your fingers, your right fingers are close to your right knee. You're going to lean on the right palm with the left hand. Just sit back a little bit towards your heels, not too much. So you've got a nice counter stretch for your wrist. So you can see, rather than your foot being flat, your hand being flat, sorry, it's the back of the hand. So your fingers and your wrist joints are going in the opposite direction than they were a moment ago. And change sides. I think that was a bit of a ramble by me then, apologies for that. Watch the shoulders, keep them down and away from the ears. Well done, and release. So moving towards forearm plank pose. So plank can be supported by the hands or by the forearms. The forearms actually, surprisingly, is a little bit more challenging for the body than the hands. So we'll work from Sphinx. We'll work our way to a forearm plank position, in and out of Sphinx to forearm plank, and then we'll add, of course we'll add, a little bit more oomph to it. So coming down onto your tummy. So take a moment to set yourself up. So if you can visualise without looking, the backs of the heels in line with the backs of your legs, rather than them falling out or in. And then adjust your elbows so they're under your shoulders. And we'll do that little arm check. So swing the right bicep across the front of the left bicep and see if it's just touchable on the middle. If it's too far, okay, so adjust your elbow. Same thing on the other side. Once you set yourself up in Sphinx, just press into the floor so you're lifting up and out, but keep that tailbone long. It's almost like your navel is slightly lifting from the floor, but not too much, so you're still relaxed here. Good. Now we're just going to release sequentially. Just come a bit further forwards. Good. So we'll start by tucking the toes and interlinking the fingers. Take a breath in here, and as you breathe out, see if you can get your navel off the floor, your rib cage, your navel, or maybe just feel it getting a bit lighter. Take a breath in. Your next breath out, You're going to firmly press down into the forearms. Keep that lift through the navel as you release your pubic bone, hips and thighs. Breathe in, breathe out. Not that quickly, that's just your cue. And then as you exhale, either stay here or press the heels away so the knees release off the floor. Then reverse to come back down. Exhale and tap both knees down together. Next exhalation, release the thighs, hips and pubic bone. Next exhalation, untuck your toes, relax your belly and separate your hands so you're back in Sphinx. Okay, let's do that again. Clasp the hands, tuck the toes. Your first exhale, navel lift. Your next exhale, pubic bone, hips and thighs lift. Remember to keep pressing and lifting up and out of the forearms. Final exhalation, press through the heels, knees can stay down or they can release. Then we just continue to breathe, tapping the knees down as we breathe out. Bringing the thighs, hips and pubic bone down as we breathe out. Finally relaxing back into Sphinx. Let's do that one more time. Clasp and tuck. Navel on the exhale releases. Hips, pubic bone, thighs. Knees perhaps. Knees down if they're up. Thighs, hips and pubic bone down. Untuck the toes, relax the belly. Come back to Sphinx. And from here, if you like to, you can stack your forearms and rest your head on top, or you can stack your hands one on top of the other and rest your head on top. Surrendering your weight, the whole of your body weight now into the support of the surface you're on. So you're truly letting go. So it's really good to let your body, your mind, feel the difference between tension and non-tension. So holding and not holding. If it gets used to being constantly stressed and tight, it won't remember how to not be that way. So let's give it the chance to understand hard and soft. Well done. So this time we're going to make our way up to all fours. And we'll just do a little bit of a tuck of the tail and a lift of the tail, just to ease out the lower back from perhaps any awareness of that little sequence we've just done. So we're going to work with a dolphin variation. So dolphin's a bit like downward dog, only on your forearms. So it's the same arm and hand position that we had a moment ago in the version we just did with forearm plank. Got there in the end. It's only 2 minutes ago and I still can't remember. If you want to work more gently, from here, you'll take your knees back about 6 inches, whatever that is in new money, I don't know. Is it about 10 centimeters maybe? I'm not sure. And from there, where your wrists are, you'll come down onto your elbows and you clasp your hands and lift your thumbs. As you breathe in, you bring your chest towards your thumbs, but without your belly swinging to the floor. So you'll really stay strong through the navel center, and then you press into your forearms to help you lift up and back. So your hips are back over your knees. So that's the more supported version. Remember to start the movement with that abdominal drawing in. So you've got that right at the beginning before you even move. So if you're working more strongly, then you'll press into the feet and lift the hips. Walk the feet a tiny bit further forwards. And then you'll breathe in, chest towards the thumbs, and breathe out back where you came from. So we're going to do that 8 times in total. And if you want to do less, it's absolutely fine. But I'm just going to go through 8, and you can work with me or work at your own pace. But generally, the good guide is that when I come to the end of my counted movements, you finish at that point. Okay, so let's set ourselves up. So hands and knees, probably already there. Have a look where your wrists are. That's where your elbows go. Then you bring your hands into that clasp position and you lift the thumbs. Remember, if you're working with support of the knees, you'll keep them down but take them a bit further back, about 6 inches further back. Before we do anything, we're going to tuck the toes and lift the navel. So either knees down and back a bit or hips up. Good. As you breathe in, look forward, think chest towards thumbs and maybe even beyond thumbs, and exhale back up. Good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. 8. Pop the knees down. And let's do that same little release. So bring your hands behind you. Rest your chest on or towards your thighs. Lift the arms up. Deliberately bend the elbows. Then lift the arms a little higher with the elbows bent. And then allow the shoulders to release back and down from the ears. Possibly straighten the arms out. And then come into your upright position. Just rest your hands on your thighs for a moment. So we're going to do that again, but just to a count of 4. Just as we did earlier, you can omit the repetition, so you can rest, maybe back into child's pose, or just sitting upright here with your eyes closed, and then join in when you're ready. Okay, here we go. So all 4s. Your start position is knees under hips, wrists under shoulders, and then the elbows go where the wrists were, hands clasped, tuck the toes, lift the navel, adjust the knees back, or press into the feet and lift your hips up. Lifting the thumbs, good. Breathe in as you go forward and back out as you come back up. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll tap the knees down. This time we'll sit up on the heels, interlock the hands, and we'll lift the arms from this upright position. So you've got a lovely stretch across your chest. Slide back bend here. So although you're aware of abdominal support, you're not consciously drawing in to flatten off the back. We're allowing the back to curve slightly. Well done. So continuing to work the upper body, and particularly the arms. We're going to work with downward dog to dolphin. So you'll be on your hands and then you're aiming your forearms and elbows to your mat. The most common, I don't like to use the word mistake or error, is that people tend to end up, if they're practicing, in more of a push-up position. So they kind of do this. Can you see that I'm coming forwards? You want to stay up, and as you inhale, you'll lower your forearms down to a hover probably, and as you exhale, you'll press back up. So you're still in your, what I call pyramid shape or your triangle shape, just dipping the elbows and straightening the elbows. A quite handy little tip actually is, as you think about straightening, squeeze your elbows in towards each other, and that will probably help to avoid one arm and then the other arm straightening. So trying to do both together each time. Again, you can work from your hands and knees. So you'll dip down, remember you're going back and then up. So taking the knees back, so you've got a kind of downward dog position here, then you'll lower, squeeze and lift back up. Avoid being right over your wrists. So it isn't a plank press up, it's a downward dog to dolphin, downward dog transition. Are we going to have a go? I think we should. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to do 5 and then we'll rest and do another 5. So tuck your toes. Transition to downward dog or knees down and back a little bit. As you breathe in, lower the elbows and the forearms to the floor to hover. Squeeze the elbows in and press into the hands as you breathe out to come back to your downward dog. That's 1. Good. Let's go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release your knees. Sit on the heels, interlink your fingers. This time, maybe palms away. Just change the hand position. A little bit of rotation at the top of the arm. Get into the shoulders. Well done. One more. Here we go. Hands and knees. Tuck the toes. Downward dog or knees back a little bit. Good. Here we go. I seem to be walking along my mat, so I'll walk back. Here we go. Remember, breathing in, you lower, but the hips stay high, As you breathe out, squeeze the elbows in and press into the hands equally to straighten your arms at the same time. Breathing in and out. Good. Good. 2 more. 2. 1. Good. Release the knees. Sit on the heels. Let's draw the right arm across the body. Hook the other arm around it. And let's just roll that right shoulder up and back and down a few times as you squeeze the arm in. And then change sides. So roll the shoulder up, back and down. Good. Give the arms a little bit of a shake. So we're coming down again onto our tummies to do Sphinx, Locust and Cobra. And then Upward Dog actually. So the challenge here is the use of the back to support the movements as opposed to propping yourself up with your arms. Okay, so we've done Sphinx, excuse me, itchy nose again. I'm going to move my mat a tiny bit further back. So, coming down onto your tummy, Sphinx pose. Now what we're going to aim to do is really engage the feet, so pressing the feet down. So as you transition to Locust, there's not too much of a drop of the upper body. So you'll know if you're just using your arms to hold you here, because as you take them off the floor, you'll come down towards your mat. So coming into Sphinx, start to focus on the back of the body. And if you can, just start to just squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other a little bit. And then try and find the back muscles and really give them a bit of a squeeze and a grab. So we have 4 breaths here. Keeping the feet down, we'll transition to Locust for 4 breaths. Using your back muscles to hold you in the pose. Once you've taken your 4 breaths, your hands will come down right by the ribs, elbows tucked in. So you're in a really strong Cobra, having to use your back because your hands are so far back. When you've taken your 4 breaths in Cobra, Bhujangasana, you'll transition to Upward Dog, maybe the knees down, maybe the knees up for 4 breaths. When you've taken your 4 breaths, you'll slowly wave your way down to the floor. Turn your head to one side. Rest your arms alongside your body. And we're going to let go of holding again. We're going to allow the whole body to melt down into the floor. And as you drape your arms by the sides of your body, just double check that your elbows are really soft so your shoulders can relax. Remember which side you've turned your head to, because we're going to repeat that one more time, that little sequence, and you're going to turn your head in the opposite direction. Okay, so let's set ourselves up again. Sphinx pose. Press down into the tops of the feet. Lifting up and out of the forearms. Come onto your back again. So you still want a little bit of support from the front of the body here. So let's engage that navel support. You'll notice as you do that the lower back opens and lengthens. 4 breaths. And then we'll transition to Locust without too much of a drop down. You can go into the full posture if you'd like here, so you can release the feet for 4 breaths or keep the feet down. Wherever you are, after you've taken your 4 breaths, your hands come right down by the lower ribs for 4 more breaths. Feel the work in the back body. Obviously, if it's uncomfortable, then you bring your hands a bit further forward. So good. And then we'll transition to Upward Dog again. Maybe a little shake in the arms. Once you've taken your 4 breaths, you'll slowly return to the floor. Turn your head in the opposite direction. As you drape the arms, maybe just give the wrists a bit of a squeeze first. And I'll lift my head to chat to you. And just rest again, allowing the whole weight of your body to be supported by the floor. Well done. Good. So from the floor, bring your forehead to your mat, press up to your hands and knees, and tucking your tail, slowly sitting back on your heels, maybe waving your hips from side to side. And we'll just come up to sitting and give the hands and wrists a little bit of TLC because they've worked really strongly for us today. So let's bring the backs of the hands together and just drop the fingers down and in towards you, up, and you kind of roll so the palms come together, then the backs of the hands again. Just a little bit of pressing in the back of the hands and then reverse. It's about the wrists and the hands really, so don't worry what your arms are doing. Well, do worry, but you know what I mean. We're doing this for the wrists and hands as opposed to any. And change again. And change again. Well done. So we'll do that nice little arm drawing across the body, but we'll use the hand on the opposite elbow. So if you draw your right arm across your chest and bring your left hand to your right elbow, keeping that right shoulder down, use your left hand to gently encourage your elbow to move up towards the opposite shoulder. And turning your head to the right, take a couple of breaths. And then gently release, relax, take a moment. Let's do the other side. So bending the left arm across your chest. So left hand comes in front of the right shoulder, right hand to left elbow. So you're encouraging the elbow to move diagonally up in the direction of the opposite shoulder, but it doesn't have to get there. Okay, so take it up wherever it goes to without you having to turn. So keeping your chest forward facing and then turn your head to the left. Take a couple of breaths. Well done. And release. Slide off your hips, come to a comfortable seated position. I'd like you to cross either right ankle in front of left, got there in the end, or right shin in front of left shin. Moving the fleshy bit of the buttocks away from the sitting bones, we go into a nice easy twist. So let's bring the right hand to the left knee, left hand to the floor behind us. You may still be looking forwards, but your body has already started to softly turn to the left. As you breathe in, press down through your back hand to lengthen your spine up. As you breathe out, turn your shoulders to the left. Take another breath in, and as you next exhale, allow your head to float around towards that back shoulder. Now, what I'd like you to avoid is feeling that you've jammed yourself in as deep a twist as you could possibly go, and there's absolutely nowhere to go from there. If you kind of feel stuck, then just back away from that twist slightly. Breathe in and lengthen, and then exhale. You may find you can go a little deeper with a bit more softness. Then breathe in to bring yourself back to the center. And as you breathe out, bring your hands to the floor. Okay, so we're going to come forwards here, but handprint by handprint. So the aim is to keep the spine beautifully long. So rather than collapsing down just to get closer to the floor, we're going to go as far forward as we can, but only as long as our spine is still nicely long and almost flat. So have a look where your fingers are, and then gently bring the heel of the hands to that place and extend your hands. So you're making handprints to bring you forwards. Take a breath there and then move again. One more. So you're going to keep going as long as you keep your sitting bones down and you can keep length and straightness, I guess, in the spine. Wherever you are, you'll take a lovely long deep breath at your kind of most forward point, and then you'll gradually come back up by refinding those little handprints again. Return into your upright position. Take a breath, change the cross of your legs, and we go to the other side. Good. So left leg in front of right, left hand to right knee, right hand to the floor behind you. Inhale as you lengthen, Exhale, turn your shoulders to the right. Breathe in and then exhale, let your head float around towards that back shoulder. Take a few breaths. Again, just observe if you feel stuck. But if you are soft and easy, then just enjoy the sort of idea of gently squeezing the internal organs, releasing any toxins and improving your digestion and bringing balance back to the physical and emotional body and the psychological body, actually. Good. Then inhale where you are, exhale back to your forward facing position. And we just gently repeat that forward movement, just moving with each breath as long as your spine is long and your sitting bones are still down on your mat. You'll take a deep breath, long and deep, and then you'll gradually come back up. There's absolutely no rush. As I say, when I'm demoing on my mat, I just like to move a little more quickly so that you can take your time, but you know where you're going to have to move to next. Well done. From here, we're going to come down onto our backs. I'll stay facing you actually, with the legs in a nice wide position. So if you're on your mat, your feet are as wide as your mat. You lay yourself back down, maybe hold on to the backs of the legs, arms out in line with the shoulders, head and shoulders on the mat. Imagine your shins as windscreen wipers, and you'll gently swing your windscreen wipers from side to side. Slowing the breath down, maybe coming back to your counted breath. This time as the knees go to the right, you'll hang out there. The head will gently roll to the left. You'll notice a softness and ease to the breath, and maybe more awareness of the breath in the left sideways, left ribs. Maybe, and just maybe, you can gently pop the left knee and leg on top of the right knee and leg. Maybe your breath is becoming so easy now that you're having to increase the number you're breathing in and out to. So still breathing in and out to that same equally, but maybe your number has shifted. Slide that left foot back and away if you had the knee stacked. Breathe into the center, both knees up, both feet nice and wide. Exhale, let your shins drop over to the left. Head rolls to the right. Notice the ease now with which you can breathe into the right lung, the right rib cage, the right side waist, maybe even the right armpit. Noticing the ease again with which you can relax and let go with each out breath. Perhaps stacking the right knee and leg on top of the left knee and leg. As you do that, the upper body should more or less remain in place. Slowly sliding that right knee and foot back away if they were stacked, coming back to the center. Heel toe your feet together. I'll spin around on my mat now, and then pop your knees on your chest. Good. And gently rock. Again, just across the back like we did right at the beginning of our time together today. Maybe little circles of the knees and changing direction. Then come to the center of your mat and pop your feet down one at a time. Knees content, feet wide, or you can slide your feet away so that you're lying on your mat. Arms are also in a nice V shape, palms facing the sky, really soft, really easy. We're going to try and challenge the mind to come back to the breath straight away. And to help keep it focused, find your counted breath, the last counted breath you were working with. Maybe you're still breathing in and out to a slow count of 4, or maybe a slow count of 6. Once you've established that count, and the sort of count and the breath are working together, you will always breathe into that same number, but you're going to try and extend your out breath by another count of 2. So if you were breathing into 4, you're going to breathe out to a count of 6. As with any breathing practice, whatever you're doing to change your natural breathing pattern should feel comfortable, relaxed, unforced. So as long as what you're doing feels really good, then continue doing it. If you're not enjoying changing the way you normally breathe, come back to your breath and just allow it to come and go as you rest and release into the support of the floor. If you've extended your out breath by 2 and it feels good, we're just going to try and go for one more extension. So if you were breathing into 4, you're now going to give your out breath a longer time to leave the body. So releasing the breath to a count of 8. So breathing out for twice as long as you're breathing in. And after your next out breath, you're going to release any numbers you're working with. And you're going to give your body permission to be breathed by the breath. And all you'll be aware of is the gentle rise and fall of the whole body as you inhale and exhale. Your limbs filling with prana, life force breath, your torso, your head, your hands, your feet, every cell of your body breathing in and out. So stay here for as long as you need. When you feel ready to step back into your day, gently blink your eyes open and closed a few times. Finishing with your eyes open, perhaps moving your fingers and toes. Maybe having a full body stretch. Exhale through your mouth. And then maybe bring your hands to your heart center. Until the next time, namaste.